Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
It's 7th Street Productions' 31 Days of Halloween.
Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome back to 7th Street, and welcome to 7th Street Productions' 31 Days of Halloween, where we're counting down my personal favorite 31 horror films. Today is one that's really hard to talk about. I'm almost sort of like ashamed that I love this movie so much, because it's easily the most disturbing film I've ever seen. I think it's just because of the impact that it had on me and the circumstance in which I first saw it. But of course I'm talking about Wes Craven's classic, Last House on the Left. This movie is about two young teens who decide to go out to a concert. But along the way, they decide to go out and see if they can score a bag of the devil's lettuce. From there, they get kidnapped by a group of horrible, horrible human beings, tortured, raped, and then murdered and left to die in the woods. The murderers then stumble upon Mary Woodhouse's house and her parents, who have been waiting up all night for her with this cake and a surprise party. And when the killers arrive at the house, the parents obviously don't know who they are. They just think that they're lost people, and they invite them into their home. They let them take a shower. They feed them. They let them stay the night there. And they're totally, they're just like model citizens to the people who just murdered and raped their daughter. Of course, the parents near the end of the film discover what these people have done. They discover the bloody clothing that they have stuffed in this backpack, and the parents decide to enact revenge on these killers, coming up with all these kind of interesting ways to kill them. Highlight of this film is definitely where Mary Woodhouse's mother bites the dick off of one of the killers. It's a pretty rough scene. The whole movie is really rough. It's not for everybody. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. The first time I saw this movie, I was 16. I was with my best friend at the time, Cody Denham. We saw that this movie was on demand on Xfinity, of all places, and decided to watch it. I was a really big horror fan at the time, but I had never seen the movie, and I really didn't know what it was about. And once it got to this really graphic rape scene, I remember just being totally uncomfortable and really, really shocked by the film. The reason that this ends up being one of my top 10 favorite horror films is really the fact that it has the ability to affect people that way. I mean, I don't get scared very easily, and I don't get disturbed very easily. I've seen Cannibal Holocaust projected in 35mm film at the Hollywood Theater, big screen, and it didn't have nearly the impact that Last House on the Left had on me the first time I saw it. I think it was a combination of being young and not really knowing what I was getting myself into, but Wes Craven really is a master of horror. This movie is a masterpiece, but sort of for all the wrong reasons. It was his first film, too. It was made for really, really cheap by a bunch of people running around in the woods not really knowing what they were doing. It's also notable that Sean S. Cunningham is the producer of this film, the guy who went on to producing the Friday the 13th franchise. So both of these guys ended up having an entire career full of, killers murdering horny teens in the woods. But all of those movies are just kind of like, oh, those silly boys, topless women. This is the only movie in their filmography that's like genuinely frightening and actually kind of like makes you feel like this is what witnessing murder might actually be like. It's uncomfortable, and it's disturbing and terrifying. There are great moments of the characters ad-libbing in this film, especially the two girls when they're being raped. Wes Craven has said in interviews that like a lot of that he just like let go, and it's really heart-wrenching. And I think that it's that way because they were ad-libbing. They were just saying things that they would probably really say to each other if something so horrible was happening. Last House on the Left is probably the one in this top 10 list that I would say watch at your own risk, but not because it's a bad film, because it's so good at doing what it set out to do, which is terrify you and make you feel uncomfortable.